My name is Wout van Wijk and I'm the Executive Director of News Media Europe. Today is World Press Freedom Day, a tremendously important day for journalism in Europe and throughout the world. I'm being joined by Guy Black, who is our Media Freedom Ambassador and a publisher.
Well, media freedom is all about speaking truth to power. Without media freedom, press publishers would not exist. Press freedom is what allows our journalists to report on the ground, to expose the truth and trigger debates in a vibrant democracy. Press freedom means walking every morning into a busy and buzzing newsroom without the fear of being shut down or being sued for the true stories we put in the spotlight or the opinions we voice.
How do you see the role of the press in democracy?
Well, it's no coincidence that the press is called the fourth pillar of democracy. Loud. Press freedom is the thing on which all other freedoms depend. That's why Roosevelt said it was the first of four fundamental freedoms. As press publishers, we are well aware of the mission citizens expect us to fulfill, which is to hold all those in power to account and to empower the truth. Where the press fails, democracy fails. So we are very conscious of our duty to provide reliable information to citizens on the basis of which they can make decisions to participate in the democratic process. That is something at the heart of News Media Europe's mission and why your job, Wout, and that of your colleagues is so vital. We also have a duty in contributing to free speech and free thinking to empower societies to improve and reinvent themselves. It's not a coincidence that in countries with the highest level of media freedom, societies prosper and inequalities shrink. Lastly, news is part of our social and cultural fabric. It became clear during the pandemic and now with the horrific war in the Ukraine that journalism has never been so important to connect citizens together. And in our unstable and polarised world, this means leaving space for diverse opinions and reaching to very different audiences, whoever they are and wherever they live.
What could threaten the freedom of the press today?
So media freedom is far too often taken for granted, and it is always under threat. Even in Europe, the home of human rights, press freedom is under more attack on journalists and pressure on newsrooms than ever. The Media Pluralism Monitor 2021 showed that political independence is at high risk in 7 European countries. In some Eastern European countries, for instance, public media has become the mouthpiece of governments, and independent outlets have no choice but to print abroad. That is a terrible indictment, and it is the role of News Media Europe, working with others, to challenge it. Another, and sometimes underestimated threat, is the financial pressure and fundamentally the right for journalists to exist online. The risk of newsrooms shutting down and titles closing because they can't keep up with the fierce and anti-competitive behaviour of the tech platforms, the tech giants, is very real. We need new competition laws, including the right to payment for content, and we need them now.
What do you think should be done to better protect the press in Europe and beyond?
Europe must be very clear that media freedom is not just a decorative principle, but an enforceable one, indissociable from the rule of law. There is no rule of law without it. The safety of journalists cannot be a country-by-country principle. Protection must be an enforceable right across borders. This week, the European Commission stepped up its game and proposed harmonised rules to protect journalists from intimidation lawsuits, with the directive cracking down on slaps. This is an historic moment for press freedom. We're also, of course, expecting a legislative proposal, the so-called Media Freedom Act, at the end of June. This instrument needs to hit the target. Here I'm talking about preventing state interference and removing stifling laws that prevent news media from operating independently. The press is self-regulated for a reason. Self-regulation is part of freedom of expression, and self-regulation must be preserved everywhere in Europe. Thank you, Wout, and all your colleagues for everything you do day in, day out to protect and enhance press freedom across Europe.
The freedom of the press underpins everything we do at News Media Europe. So, we hope you enjoyed this video and thank you for watching.